If you're a guy just starting your fitness journey and you're getting a little bit overwhelmed, worried you're going to get burnout, and not really sure what to focus on in order to see progress, this video is going to break down the 3 mistakes that you could be making that I see made all the time by clients. In fact, this video is inspired by a conversation I recently had with a client that was running into all 3 of these. And so by the end of this video, what you're going to have ultimately is clarity. And one of the big things I want you to take away from this video is that so often a lack of motivation is really a lack of clarity. Humans don't move forward into uncertainty. And so if you aren't certain about the best thing to do, what's working, what to do if you don't have time, you're going to start to lose motivation. If I was to try and learn piano and I wasn't sure what keys to hit or what sound I should be making or how often I should be practice, all of that uncertainty would cause me to then be like, I don't really know what to do. I'm just going to default to not do anything. And so what I want to do is break these down 1 through 3. And the first one is going to be a lack of data. Now, there's going to be 5 things that I want you to really make sure that you are tracking to make sure that you're not just focusing on the scale, which if you're trying to lose fat is going to be the number one thing that most people look at, but they do it the wrong way. And so let's break this down one by one. You want to weigh yourself first thing in the morning, every single morning, to get a weekly average so that you can see the trajectory of your weight after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You're going to be able to see trend lines as opposed to just looking at it one day or as opposed to looking at it 2 p.m. after Chipotle, first thing in the morning after you go to the bathroom, minimal clothing. That's one. Then you're going to want to get measurements. It's really easy to get trapped on the weight and what the scale says, but you could be losing 2, 3, 4 inches, which is what you want to be experiencing from a body composition standpoint. There's a difference between fat loss and weight loss. There's a difference between someone that is lean and someone that is bigger, thicker, stronger, more muscle, less muscle. And so when you do measurements, you're going to want to do these around your torso. You're going to want to do these around your leg. You're going to want to do these around your chest, your arm. If you lose 3 inches and the scale stayed the same, you've lost fat. And that's going to give you another way to track and measure progress. You're also going to want to look at progress in the gym. And there's a lot of different things you can be training for. But if you are seeing yourself improve with your push-ups, improve with your plank, improve with your pull-ups, your run time, that's also going to keep you motivated when you might not be seeing the scale move or when you might not be seeing inches. And so the fourth one that you're going to look at is how your clothes are fitting and qualitatively just how you feel. Because if you feel better, you've got more energy, your favorite shirt is fitting, that's going to be a non-measurable, but also at the same time, a very binary. I didn't fit in this shirt. I do now fit in this shirt. And so those are going to be other ways that you can measure progress. And so what I was telling this guy is when in doubt, zoom out, right? Look at the data and look at the trend lines that you're seeing with those. You might actually be doing great, but if you don't have data, there's not going to be anything to reference. And so that's when you're going to run into the situation of what do I do? I'm in a plateau, which a lot of times is just a week or 2 weeks of not seeing one particular data point improving. And so if you can zoom out and see, oh, I've improved in this area, I've improved in this area, I've improved in this area, that's going to give you the motivation to keep going. Think about a video game. If you have one skill tree that you are focused on improving, it might be a while before you see that move. But if you've got 6 or 7 other skill trees, I'm thinking of Skyrim specifically, it's much more motivating because you see this progress, this levels up, this levels up, this levels up. And that keeps your attention while the one that you might be really concerned with finally does level up. There's not 2, 3, 4, 5 hours in between improvements because you've seen other things ping. So photos is going to be the last one when you're measuring. Look at your photos. Are you seeing changes? And typically it'll take a month, 2 months to really see photos. Your friends that you see every few months will notice it first. The people that you see at a weekly cadence are going to notice it next. You're probably going to notice it last. But if you're looking at photos, measurements, the scale, performance in the gym, and qualitatively how you feel, that's going to give you the feedback to keep going. That's going to give you the clarity on what's working, what's not, and what to double down on. Now, there's going to be more details in terms of the inputs, but those are the measurements that you want to be looking at to see if your inputs are resulting in the outputs you want. And that is a really good segue into the second thing. And that is going to be having too many inputs and feeling really overwhelmed. And it's really easy to get caught up in, I've got to hit my water. I've got to hit my steps. I've got to hit my workout. I've got to stretch. I've got to go to bed. I've got to make sure I journal. I got to make sure I meditate. I got to ice bath. I got to take my supplements. I got to make sure that I'm doing all of these things. And if you're someone that is just getting into fitness, someone that is starting a journey maybe with kids or someone that is super overwhelmed with everything that you got going on at work, it's really easy to get overwhelmed and feel like, oh man, how am I supposed to get all of this in? And if that's the question that you're asking yourself, that is another form of uncertainty, right? If you're saying, what do I do? Which was the first one, that's uncertainty. If you're saying, how am I going to fit this all in? That's uncertainty. You're unclear. You lack clarity on how you're supposed to get all those in, but also you're not clear on what is a priority. What is the most important thing to do? And so I'm going to give you a little tip here. What I want you to do, and this might be working with a coach, this might be getting advice from a friend, this might be chat GPT, that might be content from these videos that I do on YouTube. Pick 3 things, right? If you really want to go hard, you might do 4 or 5, but honestly, just pick 3 things, inputs that you can control that are binary. It might be 100 ounces of water, might be a 30-minute walk, and it might be doing a 15-minute workout video over on my other Fit for the Republic channel. When you finish those, I want you to feel with a pen striking that off the page. And when you see yourself knock out all 3, that's going to build momentum. That's going to increase your motivation because you're seeing yourself accomplish the things you said that you would do. You might have a list of 10 things that you want to do. And if you only get 7 out of 10, you're going to recognize the 3 things that you missed. You're going to feel like you're coming up short versus if you only had 3 things to do and you did all 3, that's 100%. 7 is more than 3, but it's a delta of 3 between that 7 and 10. That's what your mind is registering. And that's what kills motivation because you feel like you're coming up short, like you're not good enough. And so what you want to be able to do is say, here's the things that are important. Here's the things that I'm going to focus on. And then this is the real big key thing here. If you have a million things that are overwhelming you, it's because they haven't made their way through the competency progression. First step is unconscious incompetence. You don't realize that the habit you have is not progressing you towards your goals. Maybe it's having Coca-Cola every single night for dinner, right? And so you have that. You don't realize that that's impacting your blood sugar. You don't realize that that's an extra 200 calories that you just don't need each day. But once you become aware of that, now you got to really think, okay, I need to make sure I'm not having these specific habits, these specific inputs every day, but you still are going to fall short. That's conscious incompetence. Now you're aware, oh man, I really shouldn't be having this 5th slice of pizza. I'm already full. I really shouldn't be having this cheese because I'm lactose intolerant, right? You're aware that it's not something aligned with your goals. But once you move over into the conscious competence, you're doing the right inputs. You're focusing on the right things, but it still takes mental bandwidth because it's still something you need to do consciously. I don't need to think about driving. But when I started driving, it was the most it was the most conscious incompetence and then conscious competence transition that you can have. You're holding both sides of the wheel, you're stressed out, you're worried about merging over and you're having to think about all these things. It's very overwhelming. So if you threw in changing the music and texting and talking to your friends and rolling the window down, yeah, you're going to absolutely get overwhelmed. My guess, now that you're 30, 35, 40, whatever age you're watching this, you've been doing that for 30 years. Driving's not a big deal. You've developed unconscious competency. You can merge onto a busy freeway without having to think about it, but it took time for you to go from conscious to unconscious in that competency. And so what I want you to take away from this is that if you're trying to build up a bunch of habits all at once, identify 3 really controllable ones and move those over across that line from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence to conscious competence to unconscious competence. It's almost like that board game Sorry. Once it's in that safe zone, then you're going to be able to then go and find some other habits and inputs to focus on and slide those across the board into the safe zone. And so the third one is going to be being really rigid with the amount of time that you're doing your workout or what your workout needs to look like. And you get to the point to where you're saying, where am I going to fit this 60-minute workout? And you look at your calendar, you're like, well, can't get 60 minutes in. I guess I'm not going to do anything, right? The thing that kills motivation is feeling like I don't have clarity in how this is going to happen. And so you don't do anything. And that's where so many people get stuck on it needs to be perfect. It needs to look a certain way. Maybe you were able to work out an hour, 2 hours when you were 24. That certainly used to be the case for me. Now I've got a kid with another one on the way. I'm not going to have that bandwidth. And so if I have a 60-minute window and it starts to get eaten up because I got to go and get the diaper changed, and now I've got 40 minutes, I want to have a bias for action, right? And that's what I would recommend anyone to do in that situation is say, okay, I can't get to the gym. What could I do at home that's 15, 20 minutes? Because ultimately, what you're trying to optimize for is momentum and consistent momentum. Consistency isn't being perfect. Consistency is building momentum so that you've got a ton of progress when you zoom out after those 30 days, after those 90 days, after those however, a year, right? Imagine just getting 1% better every single day with 10, 20, 30-minute workouts. I could share videos on my channel there's hundreds of videos on my channel of people that did exactly that. I can think of Steven is a great example. Started with 10-minute workouts. The guy lost 50 pounds in 6 months, starting off with 10-minute workouts and being diligent with those, and then graduating to 20-minute workouts. And between that, tracking his food and getting his steps in, those were the three things that he focused on from an input standpoint. So ask yourself, what can I do? What is the thing that will enable me to build some momentum? Is it getting steps in? Is it stretching? Is it doing a 20-minute workout? Is it doing a 40-minute workout? Is it going to the gym? Whatever you can do, be diligent with that. And don't worry about being perfect and having this all or nothing mentality, right? You're not a professional athlete. You're not training for the Olympics. You're trying to get in shape so that you don't feel like trash at 40 years old. That's very different. And in this game of longevity, there is no destination. There is no deadline by when you need to feel amazing. There's just 1% better every single day. And so hopefully that gives you a little bit more clarity on what to be focusing on and the mindset to have so that that motivation does not get absolutely zapped. And if you want a little bit of help building this out, there's a link down below to get support with my team and I. We'll have a conversation on where you're at, how we can help support you. And if it makes sense, move forward. If not, there's also a free community down below in the description. You can check that out and follow along with hundreds of Star Wars themed workouts from there as well. So drop any comments down below drop any comments down below in the comment section, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.